Hi everyone, this is K.N.Fitzwater. You're watching my channel and I have a different setup now. So my microphone, this little toner right here, died on me when I was doing one of my Minecraft streams this past weekend. So we're gonna do something else. I'm using my webcam. As you can see, the pixelization is gonna be quite different. And now you see the back end of the room, what I normally would do on my Arduous Spark um, streaming plays, which I will connect the Twitch link to my author page so that way you're ever curious and want to see me play games on weekends, you can hop over and I will add that YouTube link in the Twitch account. So if you have been watching my Twitch streamings, you could look in my author stuff. I have been thinking about changing up my YouTube for a while. One reason is because I feel like I'm dragging myself to, get up and do recordings. And I feel like the content that I'm recording, let's say I'm getting a little bit burned out. I've been doing educational videos for like 2 some odd years now, ever since I created this channel. And I really want this channel to be more of a reflection of my interests, what I want to do, what I like. Hmm. So, we are going to talk about one of those interests, Dungeons and Dragons. I have been playing Dungeons and Dragons since I was in high school. I am about 34 years old as of this recording. So I've been doing it for a long while. I have my parents to thank. They have been playing, well, my mom has been playing since she had moved down in Kentucky and met my dad. My dad has been doing it ever since the game came out, and he was a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, somewhere around there. And funny story. This is going to be story time, Dungeons and Dragons, um, which is something I would love to talk about more on this channel. Funny time. My dad had been introduced to Dungeons and Dragons by his Methodist priest. Um, him and the other, kids growing up, they were part of this play testing site when it came out. So you actually could draw in the numbers on the little chip pieces, and they're wooden, and you draw in the numbers and you roll your dice and you kick evil's butt, and that's how they were introduced to Dungeons and Dragons. And he loved it so much he was able to continue it with his friends all the way through high school, all the way through college, and were able to do it on and off with us kids, me included, were growing up. So it's been awesome. My dad's an inspiration for keeping the Dungeons and Dragons alive. So I really, really love and appreciate my dad for teaching me. If it wasn't for Dungeons and Dragons, I wouldn't have made the friends I made in Moorhead University. I wouldn't be able to get into fantasy as much. Most of my fantasy experience was them getting into fantasy books that are in the Forgotten Realms or beyond, like Conan, um, like Eberron, like other fantasy genres like Dragonlance. I still have that old Dragonlance book somewhere. I'm gonna get that. Hold on one second. Okay. Hard to tell stories without props. So, this was my very first fantasy book, other than Aslan, other than the other childhood fantasy books. This was the first um, fantasy adventure book. I read this when I was in elementary school. And from here, I graduated into the Chronicles of Narnia books and some of the other mystery novels, such as Sherlock Holmes. And I got really bored. They have all the other adventure books, and I progressed into our Saboteur. They had only three trilogy books. Well, they only had three books of one trilogy, and it was the very, very first one. My parents loved Elminster more. They kept up to date with what was going on with Elminster and the Silver Sisters and all that. So they only have one small section of our Saboteur. Now, like, 30-ish years later, we have like two, three shelves of our Saboteur, at least before this Christmas. I have at least one good solid shelf of our Saboteur, so he's been a inspiration as well. So that's how I really got into fantasy. And as a kid, of course, you have Star Wars, you have Star Trek, but if it wasn't for my parents and Dungeons and Dragons, I wouldn't be able to pick up, action adventure fantasy novels like this. I wouldn't be able to get into the Lord of the Rings later when the movies were coming out, and I would be inspired to write the Doppelganger Queen that I'm currently working on. So yeah, Dungeons and Dragons have been a foundation of my life that exposed me to the what we would call high fantasy. I call it action adventure, swashbuckling fantasy. So for today's Dungeons and Dragons talk, we are. I don't know where to put my hands. This is all new to me. Doing this for YouTube, it's a little bit different. Okay, let me get my thoughts together. Yes, so we are going through a campaign as a family. Me, my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother. I'm not going to give any names. If you know me, you probably know who they are. But if you don't, I'm just not going to give names to kind of save their privacy. Um, but yeah, we have a campaign together, and it's fun. It's my mother's first DMing session. If you don't know, DMs are the storytellers. They lay out what's going to happen. They lay out the monsters for you to fight, etc. So they're pretty much the game master or dungeon master. So it's her first time ever. She's always been the barbarian or the sorcerer in our group, and now she's going to be our DM, or at least she had been for the past few sessions. And this one is really inspired. So, going to back up here. The world that we're in is actually my brother's world. He created a homebrew um, world where all the geeky stuff that we love so much cohabitates in this world. So all the enemies that we like, all the Star Trek references, all the Star Wars references, etc. Anything goes except for the rules. We still abide by the 5.0 D&D rules. So in this story, we have all sorts of celebrities show up in our adventures. I run a campaign session that had included Batman and Riddler and a labyrinth maze, kind of a pseudo recreation of a Batman animation series commercial. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of silly, goofy stuff that goes on. Our characters, yes. I had to go and explain our characters before we jump into her campaign. Um, Let me go through. Okay, my mom's character is a barbarian. Um, it's called Salazar. He's from a northern tribe, kind of more the forested tribe. If you're familiar with the Forgotten Realms, there was a forested tribe of barbarians that are a little bit more darker hair, more tan of skin, etc. So very loosely based on Conan, kind of more of the Jason Momoa barbarian. So that's our Salazar. Um, my dad is playing a bard. He's always been doing musical jokes, and finally he's a bard. He's always been a fighter or a ranger, which a ranger is his very first character he had rolled up in Dungeons and Dragons. He was Strider. Um, Fun fact, Dungeons and Dragons, when it was starting out, was nothing more than Lord of the Rings. It was a redone Lord of the Rings campaign. So my dad was a uber geek of Lord of the Rings. He had read the books, so of course he's going to be Strider. Um, but here in this campaign session, he's a bard. I think he's Lars Metallica, and he's a pretty good bard. He's a pretty good bard, but really he's more of a joke character. Just for you know, just for all those musical puns that he always throws around the house. Now he has the excuse to do more. So that's who he is. Let's see. My sister, I'm trying to go around the table. My sister is a Yanti cleric, and she's a Yanti cleric of balance. And for those who love Babylon, is it Babylon 5? Oh, geez, I'm gonna lose my card. I think it is Babylon 5. The There was a character called Zathras, and in this homebrew bolt, he is a deity of balance. So, my sister's cleric follows Zathras. So, that's really cool. My brother has grown from Team 4-Star. Me and my brother love I'm not Dungeons and Dragons. Well, of course, we love Dungeons and Dragons, but there was a parody of the Dragon Ball series, and he loves what they do on the table. He loves watching Lenny DM with all his friends, and they do all these escapades. So he decided to do a version of Grung and go out and do things with his goblin. So there are many, many, many reasons why we're not going to televise or do anything like that with this type of campaign, you know, because some of them are not original characters. So that's a celebrity fun character. And I'm also, oh wow, things are intense in the music. Okay, sorry about that. I got a little loud. I'm playing with the music right now. um, there's just also a different style of video um, recording. It's a little bit more loose, less editing, very much like how I do my weekend streaming. So it's a little bit more, you know, unedited, low cut kind of thing. Um, I may put in the filter to get rid of this whole, shining light. We're having a heat wave right now in the middle of December, which is pretty typical where I live. My character. I forgot about my character. I love the Slayer series. They're my favorite anime, and I'm about to claim they're the best anime of all time. It's another fantasy show. It's about a sorcerer genius named Lena Inverse, traveling around the great continent in Spooner. Oh, geez. I haven't watched this for a year or two. And she fights against dragons. She fights against, you know, the evil demon deities, etc. She is just rowdy and hungry and, all that stuff. She caused a lot of destruction everywhere. She's your typical murder hobo adventurer. Um, and she's also a fiery sorceress. So, how I translate that character into 5.0, there's a special sorcerer path called Phoenix, where she could do her Phoenix fire stuff and she get bonuses to any sort of spell that has fire damage. So, it's a little bit more explosive. And since she's a sorcerer, I've been using her meta magic to make sure none of our characters get the friendly fire. Because I know they don't have the reflexes like Grung. Grung is the rogue of the group. So we got our barbarian, we got our bard, we got our rogue, we got our cleric, and we got our sorcerer. So a lot of heavy hitting damage kind of crew, a very high DPS crew set. So how we function in this world, in this whole homebrew smash up, we have a adventurers guild run by my brother's previous character named Roland Blacksmith. There's a huge kind of story arc about him. I'm not going to get into that. Let's just say that he has enough experience underneath his belt to become the Obi-Wan mentor for us younglings. So this is just how all of us are progressing and starting out in our adventures, taking up odd jobs for the Adventurers Guild and getting the cut of the whole thing. Now we're finally getting into the actual thing.